Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out. With your hosts, Brandon, Colin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Square Pawns.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Why, Colin, I'm staring at you in the face as we record.
It's exceptionally awkward.
It is a little bit weird. Maybe we should have sat on the same side of the table.
That would have been even more awkward.
Oh, that's true. Like when you sit, yeah, you don't want to do that. Like in a restaurant, you don't want to sit next to each other.
No, no.
That's wrong when you do that.
We could have sat that, and then Susan could have been our audience. And we could have done
that's true.
A live presentation to Susan.
That would be even less weird. Listeners, she is adjacent to us on the couch, giving us the side eye, as they say. She's waving. Hello, listeners. How are you?
She'll be credited on the IMDb.
Yes, definitely.
Recording stats.
You can. Yes, you have to say ahoy. That's the rule.
No, have you heard of that? Different artists record different things, but they give different credits for people being did the drums.
Yeah.
I forget who it was, but he was like, "Yeah, we had like Dave in the corner breathing, and so we gave him credits for taking your space."
Nice. I like it. He was support, right? Emotional support, moral support, something supporting from the side.
Yeah.
So Susan's here. She has to listen much more closely than normal. She usually hears me from the other room making random vague comments about stuff, but
at least she'll know both sides of the conversation this time. So
true.
Hopefully things will make a little bit more sense.
Or less sense. And listeners, you helped us decide. We don't know for sure.
But we're also recording in a different way using different things. So
True.
There's no AI robot to be tracking us right now to be made angry. Oh, I wonder if I got an email saying it's waiting.
It might be waiting. We stood it up because we're recording in person.
Okay, I have not received one yet, but usually it's not until but we're also recording earlier, so here in a little bit, I'm going to get an angry email from the AI overlords asking to be let in.
Nope,
eagerly
not today, buddy. You can get fed the audio later,
as you were intended to.
Yes.
It does. I told you, it does try its best to give you a summary of what
I love the summary.
The
summary makes me happy.
What did you talk about? And it was like, none of that actually makes sense.
I mean, no, but it's great. It's trying really hard. So it's just humorous. I like how humorous it is. Like, what? And I also don't know why it will, like, where it decides to stop and put the line of saying, oh, they talked about this. Like, that was in the middle of a paragraph, and you're just like, here, like, what? That's not part of anything. What? I don't even.
For a while, it got on a weird bender where it thought you were the only person talking, and I understand. We sound a little bit alike.
Sometimes I am the only person talking for very long stretches of time. Now today, I can see Colin rolling his eyes, going, "Oh my gosh, when did we talk?"
You can't see me doing this.
Yeah, no,
I can't do that off act.
Put your head down on the desk. Shut up, dude.
Roll my chair back and be like, "What is going on? How?" No, but for a while, it would go in. It auto assign speakers, so it's supposed to learn people's voices over time.
Yeah,
and it was just say Brandon. It would be a massive block of text, and so I was having to go in and manually be like, "No, I think I said that," and hit return and like claim me,
claim myself. Older brothers just take everything from you. That's just how it works, right? You just go.
and then at one point, I'm in there as two different. I'm in there as Colin F. and then as Colin Funkhauser, and it randomly assigns
whichever one.
Like I'm different people, and I really think it derives from the fact that I did a lot of recordings whenever I had like a really bad chest cold, and so it was like, "This is sick, Colin."
Does it recognize your voice? Colin A, Colin B. This is Colin was drinking too much coffee.
Right. This is Colin whenever he's vibrating and seeing sound.
It's true.
Which apparently happens a lot more than
it's fine. It's okay. But listeners, we have much to report. It's official. Aaron is married.
Wow.
And there was much rejoicing. Yay.
Firecrackers.
Firecrackers.
Oh, I got hit in the face with some confetti.
That's true.
It's everywhere.
I hate it when you get confetti in your eye. It's the worst.
Confetti in the face.
It's
Face
terrible.
confetti.
Bad.
We traveled to the magical land of Oklahoma where nothing is real.
But the pollen is real. I tell you that right now.
Pollen is very real. The pollen powers most of that. What did we learn? We learned that they have square ponds.
They do have square ponds in Oklahoma. This is confirmed. I don't know why they have square ponds in Oklahoma. It's very confusing, right? In Missouri, our ponds are generally round or just irregular shape, right? You know, like water does. But there were several ponds in Oklahoma. I am not joking. I think they have right angles, right? Like what wizardry is this? It's almost harder to make a pond like that, right? And to make them so symmetrical.
And maintain it. You have to maintain it. 'Cause something that I know is that water doesn't like angles. And so this is something that you have to like.
It's almost like erosion is a thing.
Keep up and do. So it must just be part of their annual or every pond 5 years pond maintenance. Come in and make it more square.
Yeah. We won't bore you with the reception and the wedding. It was very lovely. It was very nice, right? However, during our downtime, we did some exploring.
What you just said was, wedding, yada, yada, yada.
Let listeners know what a wedding was. It was nice. It was lovely, right? They came down. There was a song. I had to sit in a room for 5 hours. That wasn't very exciting. But, other than that, it was great.
They came down to Anakin's theme or something.
The Anakin redemption theme. I don't really know what that. It was a piano something. I don't know. It was a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, it was a classical, or it was a different take on it from it. I don't know the exact artist.
Yeah, I don't know the arrangement, but it was nice. It was soft piano. It's lovely. Walk down. Outside wedding, right? So there was some touch and go because the day before during the rehearsal, it was not nice outside. It was very rainy.
Not even a little
cold. And so everyone was like, fingers crossed, man.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, we did survive that. It was nice. People said things, they did things, and merriment was to be had.
That's true.
But yes, prior to all of that, though, we did go exploring.
We explored small town Oklahoma.
Yes.
And we learned many things. Least of which is the pond square.
Which, when you start with the fact that ponds are square, and you say that's the least of them,
that
really does
real weird. Real quick.
Elevates exactly what we did.
That's true, right? So, what small town were we in, Colin? Where were we exactly?
Well, I would say, I was chastised for my mispronunciation of it, and it's Wewoka.
Ah, yes, not Wewoka,
not Wewoka, which is how
it's spelled.
It's spelled, but again, remember Oklahoma, land of magical places. When we passed a town that was literally IXL.
Yeah, I don't.
Which we learned is
3 letters. Ixel. I found in Ixel, Oklahoma. Also, we learned that most of Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, this is very centrally located, southern central Oklahoma. No cell service anywhere.
It was so bad the entire time.
I don't we were at the wedding. I'm going to send this picture to my. Nope. Just kidding.
Or I will send a text, just no photo.
Yeah, Colin's I will call someone. Nope. I need to text somebody. I need to text dad. Nope.
It's not a thing. You will not communicate via modern technology. You will, in fact, not.
Carrier pigeon, Pony Express, probably. But yes, many adventures were had in the small town of Wewoka, Oklahoma. Population 3,000. Right. Yeah. However, historically, population much, much larger. This is what we learned. We learned today.
Yes. First, we ventured and we found the Wewoka Lake.
There is a lake,
right?
Who knew?
Which is massive.
It is massive.
There was a sign that said Wewoka Lake. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But then when you looked it on the map, it was the same size as the town.
It was huge. It was so big. It was so long, right? Long thing. Aaron was very surprised. He was like, what do you mean there's a lake? So he did not. He was busy being wed. So it's understandable he didn't have time to explore with us. However, we did find a lake, and it was kind of cool, right? It's when you adventure and explore small Midwestern towns, right? Or I guess, well, Oklahoma is firmly outside the grip of the Midwest. First of all, let's put that on.
As has been previously determined on this exact podcast.
So it's like a Great Plains town, right? And I know that Oklahoma sits firmly in the Great Plains, specifically Wewoka, because on our way to the lake, we found some buffalo. All right. And so we know
for a fact
that Oklahoma is not in the Midwest because there's buffalo there. So that's not how that works. Okay. Firmly a Western state, but we'll call it Great Plainsy, right?
Yeah.
But like, as a lot of like these kind of towns, we'll call it mid-America, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that like used to be cool. Right. And then like just a question mark on how long ago that was. So you get to see some very like interesting infrastructure that was like how people built things in 1955.
Mm-hmm.
That's Wewoka Lake, right? Like
yeah. Moral of the story, Wewoka in 1955 was a happening place. But it was really neat to see it definitely wasn't a modern lake or modern like picnic camping area because it was like, hey, here's a little drive-in and a little grill, and then here's another little drive-in, and they were just crammed next to one another. So it'd be very interesting to see photos from that area around that time period when it was built.
I did see some photos of like more recent times, and that part where the swimming thing was, right? There was still like a lot of kind of hopping, right? There was a bunch of like pontoon boats out there, and like people just like swimming, and it was from like last summer. So like again, it's probably the day that we were there, listeners, cold.
It's very windy.
Nobody. It was so windy.
Turns out in Oklahoma, the wind blows
swiftly across the plains, right? Who knew that happened?
But beyond the water was something quite also fascinating about what we discovered at the Wewoka Lake.
There was. Okay. Oklahoma geology is a foreign concept to me, right? As a Missouri boy and geology enthusiast, all of my geologic knowledge revolves around like southern Missouri geology, right? Like I understand vaguely, not like expertly, right? But like I have a pretty good grasp on geological layers and land formation and all that stuff, right? For Missouri, limestone. We love limestone and dolomite here in Missouri. It's our favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But Oklahoma, the soil is confusing. I don't understand. And we found at Wewoka Lake the sandiest sandstone that has ever stoned, right? It was so loosely attached, right? My science brain has turned off and I can't think of the word that I need here. But like lithified. There we go. Thank you.
There you go. That was a pull.
Save. It's almost like I'm a geology teacher or something. It is so loosely lithified. So it's in these big, solid constructions, right? Big, huge, solid, like rock faces. But if you grab the rock face and squeeze it, it will disintegrate in your hand.
And almost like squeeze out more water. Like,
it's like it so weird. Like, it's not stable at all.
No. Which is fitting because we crossed over like a sandy creek.
We did.
It was like, I wonder what is in that.
What substrate is this river system?
But it is not the coarse sand you'd find on like a beach, like sand when you go to a beach resort.
It reminded me of like baking powder.
It was so.
It's so incredibly fine. It's like baking powder because on the shore, right, they have the little beach and stuff. But if you touch it, it doesn't feel coarse.
Yeah,
the grain is so small that it is just so fine. It like a baking powder like consistency, which I imagine is why the rocks do not lithify very strongly together because the substrate is not big at all.
Yeah,
there's no like big pieces that adhere to each other. It's very strange. I don't know.
Is there a rule in geology of size of particulate to pressure required? Is there a relationship that's like that?
There might be. Actually, I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head. That would make sense, right? The more fine grained material, the more pressure you would need for it to hear. Because like if you think of like chalk cliffs, like limestone chalk, like the Dover cliffs, right? You would think that would need a lot of pressure because chalk is literally just like you can look at it and it breaks. For those of us old enough to remember chalkboards, and that horrifying experience of doing math board races on a chalkboard.
Quite fun.
Yes, but I would imagine you need quite a bit of pressure. So for this sand, in air quotes, right? Because
dust. It's actually dust. It's not sand.
It was like dust. It was like a finer grain. I think geologically speaking, it would probably be classified as a smaller particulate size sand.
Yeah.
Right. I have a chart somewhere. It's at my desk, but like I could look at that maybe tomorrow, and like the particulate matter size is much smaller.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but you could really take that rock, and that was the shocking part of you could see that big formation, break off a chunk, and then in real time, in your fingers, reduce it back to the sediment, the sand.
I mean, as the wind was blowing across the lake, you could see the water lapping and hitting the rock, and you could watch erosion happen in real time, right? This is it was like a solid rock, and you could watch erosion occur. And it was like, what? How is this beach still here? Like, what?
Yeah, where was this 50 years ago?
Yeah. How big did this used to be? This point must have extended like 100 meters out into the middle.
That's a really good point. The lake didn't used to be this big. They actually built it much smaller, knowing that it would erode itself
away into the side, right? Like, it's growing on its own.
We can't stop it.
It used to be square, and now it's just it's all gone.
Oh, now you know why they make them square, because they have to keep it under more control. If they don't
organically grow like a blob, right? Like a creature from the Black Lagoon or whatever. But once we left the mighty Lake Wewoka, we headed to downtown Wewoka.
The mighty downtown
Wewoka. At one time, this was a very mighty indeed. Very classic Americana, extremely wide roads, right? Brick as far as the eye can see.
And I didn't really get excited about it until I saw the trading post.
Yeah, so it's not on, again, like many towns, including like my own, the old main street is not the current main street, right? And so we were driving on this other road, and we were like, okay, well, let's go over there. And so we meandered around, and we were like, oh, here's some old brick buildings. That's cool. What's that? A super old trading post. Oh my gosh, we have to stop right here.
And it had that, you said that plainsy frontage to it with the overhang and the super tall storefront.
Listeners, imagine a Western movie. Okay, you've done it. This is what you've seen in. You've seen what we stumbled upon driving through. Yeah,
and it was still there.
It was kind of a surprise. Like, what? Wait a minute, that's not what I thought I was going to find. I figured like brick downtown buildings, like all close together, right? Not 1880s trading post, just like bloop right there.
Yeah.
Right? So that was what drew our eye. And then, conveniently located next to the 1880s trading post was the 1880s train station.
Turns out they used to build them kind of close to each other. So
weird, right?
It works. And it was very weird to see, like, oh, this was town. This is where town started.
Yeah. This thing right here.
And then grew south is what happened along that main road.
Yeah.
And that was really weird to think, like, this is where it all, like, this was the trading post. This is the depot. And it was the original depot as we saw from other photos.
Yeah.
To see that this is this is the origin, right? This is point zero for this
point
town.
Zero of the town. And like, it, again, listener, it's like, we were kind of looking at it and we were like, is that because now it's like the town commerce business
center thing. Yeah.
But we were looking at it and I was going, wait, hold on. And then like I got a better look at the front. And then I was looking at a building that is just in Red Dead Redemption, right? I was just like, wait a minute, hold on. I've seen this building. I've walked through these doors before. I did this in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's the exact same front. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? So we learned interesting facts like around the 1880s, the train business was so booming that the population jumped from like 2,500 to like 25,000 people
over the course of a few months.
So we can imagine how terrible that was.
And that's insane to think about that kind of
so
growth.
Much growth. That's so bad.
And the fact that now the town in 2023 has, let's just say, roughly the same population, 3,000, as it did in the 1880s. Like, that tells you the big boom and bust that happened back then and how it never really recovered. Because it was it the trading business, or it wasn't because of oil, was it?
Well, there was, so it was like a depot for like a lot of other places, right? So there was oil, obviously, because again, as you drive around Oklahoma, you're just like,
it is Oklahoma.
Oil pump. Or the most random places. It just like throws me off because it's like this just an alien enough to my daily life in Missouri where like I'm not expecting there to be like a Walmart and then an oil rig right next to it. Like what? But like, yeah, it was like a depot. So there after that was like the main thing, and then there was like other manufacturing things that came up around there to support that, right? So that was a very interesting bit of history to know. And then Colin's favorite bit. Oh. Do you have the picture? You must sort of read a little bit. We learned.
Oh yeah, let me scroll back through this real quick.
Yeah, we learned a very interesting fact about Wewoka.
Yes,
and we have added a new term to our lexicon. Right. So this
will forever shall be. Yes. So while they had this big boom. With the boom came with apparently lost freight. There was inadequate telephone service, cramped railroad facilities, growing congestion at the switch, because this is called the Wewoka switch. It became this became so common. Oh my gosh! Let me do this. Thousands of freight shipments bound for different destinations and thought to be in transit were found hidden at the Wewoka switch. Upon being questioned by customers about late or missing orders, many merchants' standard reply and excuses became, "Yes, I have it, but it's in the Wewoka switch," meaning that they had been unable to track the merchandise and were caught in a, quote, tight spot. The expression, "I'm caught in the Wewoka switch," grew to imply that one suddenly found himself in a bind or a trying situation.
So this is not good PR for your town, right? If your town is synonymous with stuff not working properly.
Yeah. And it was so bad that the railroad itself, just anytime something was thought to be missing,
they just called Wewoka. Hey, do you have this? They're like, yeah, in the back. It's bad. So, ladies and gentlemen, in case you were concerned that like supply chain issues were like a 21st century problem, no. This is not a new phenomenon that's occurred in the last 2 years. It heads all the way back to 1880s Oklahoma railways losing stuff in the back.
It was quite
right. But imagine, this switch yard, right? From what's still there, it doesn't look like it was very big anyway. Right, it looks like a 2-track situation from kind of what's there now.
Well, they still had some tracks still there.
Did find some tracks, like some of it was just like in the shrub over on the side.
But you're right. Coming into it, you could really stand there and go, "Oh, this is wide enough for two here."
Yeah, because you can see it's still flattened out. Right now, they've built other things around it. There's like some other stuff and other buildings, but like the flat area where railroad tracks should be.
Not nominally
still kind of exists. So maybe there was some more because they probably moved some fill. So I think that picture showed there was like a track that ran in front of the building, right? And so, but it once you look at it in person, looking at that, you would go, "Oh, if there was a lot of freight coming through here, it's getting lost." Right? I can just tell you.
There's no way this could handle the amount that was coming through here.
No, not even a little bit. So it was not surprising. But it was just interesting. I just like that terminology. The Wewoka switch means
stuck at the switch.
Stuck at the switch. Things are not going well.
Things are going very poorly. Yep. And we got to climb into a Switch caboose.
Oh, yeah, they
they had there.
I do love random train cars. Right. This is a central U.S. thing, like not just the Midwest, the South, and the Plain State. They just have random train cars places. I just like them.
It's
something very like, I don't know, like there's a romance tied to the railroad in the United States, right? It's very like frontiery, very like rugged, very like whatever. So like train cars are just cool. So like old cabooses are the coolest part. So I mean,
usually found in downtown locations and or ball fields.
That's true. We have one out in front of the school. Is there one here?
Getting in.
Oh, at the park. There's one at the park. Yeah. By the pond. It's round, by the way, just so you know.
As God intended. Yes.
We strolled down the main drag for a while. We found some really cool, buildings that used to be interesting, buildings that, places where buildings should have been. There's definitely lots of evidence of fire in the old downtown Wewoka. Like there's like wood nailed to the side of the building, but it's charcoal now, right? And like so, there was a series of happenings, right, where things didn't go well. It looks like, but over the course of I don't know what time, several buildings have been lost. There's still several ones there in various states of use, right?
Yeah.
You don't really know. It's hard to tell because apparently many things are closed on the weekend in Oklahoma. So it's hard to know how much of those some of them were like offices, right? And so like, they weren't open on Saturday, like the law office and like some other random buildings. And there were some that were like closed for construction, but it's hard to know how long they've been closed for. So it's very interesting, but it's just, again, a very architecturally interesting journey where if you like old brick and you like interesting shaped buildings, right? And you can definitely tell Colin, we walked in front of the building and Colin just looked at me and goes, all right, tell me when that building was built. And the facade on this building screams 1960s, like so hard. Like, boom.
Great. Like, so wonderful.
It was. I liked it, but he was not wrong. You could just, there it is. Boom.
Just the stainless steel upper window arrow. Yeah.
They're like white brick, right?
Yes.
Like, we know where that's from.
Yeah. And that was, thinking about that, it's kind of neat to walk down that because you start back over at the train depot and the trading post, which are all wood buildings, right? And wood, I don't know what kind of that's called, but post and beam or whatever.
Timber.
I don't know. And then
I'm not a builder. I don't know.
I'm saying things out of turn. But then to see that how, obviously those don't last very long. And so those are probably the two last remaining structures like that they have. And one has been heavily updated and kept up.
Yeah.
And then you see the brick and then the changing of the brick, and there's some stones there on the facade. But yeah, seeing somehow there was like, oh, this is actively falling down. Like this
one of them is actually a pile.
There were like three of them, three buildings. And it's the typical downtown structure, right? And the two on the ends would be in use, and the one was a literal pile of brick.
The one in the middle would be piled up. It was like one of them was actually just in, there was a Bobcat thing parked out front where they're like, okay, we're going to scoop it out here.
Yeah.
But we had some of those downtown here. The place next to the pavilion a few years ago, even that building was falling down, and the city was just like, all right, blap, like get rid of like. And it had to because it was, the cities it came down by itself.
Well, they're in a tough spot because they have the infrastructure there, but they have to make that decision. Can this be used to generate revenue? Right? Are we collecting taxes on this, or is this just becoming an eyesore and a liability to us?
Yeah, and that is pretty. Colin mentioned while we were there, like it's got to be maddening, right? Because like they have all this potential space for lots of stuff to be, but like there's nothing there, and then. The more there's nothing there, the more the buildings fall into disrepair, and then the cycle inevitably continues, right? And it spirals downward into terribleness, right? And sadness. And you've lost all this cool stuff, which is really sad. But, it's a whole thing. But
yeah, and that's part of the life cycle of towns in some areas. And
yeah.
Yeah, you hope to see some stuff come back in there, but if the building's so broken
bad.
down or
Yeah.
busted, and well, like the theater,
The movie theater was so cool, right? Like from what we could see from the door,
because
again, shuttered. But it was really like the big marquee outside. Like they had the seats pulled out, so they were at one point attempting to do something. Maybe I don't really know. Like, who knows if they were like working on it, and then like COVID and stuff happened, and they had to like they couldn't go anywhere, so they lost money and they had to shut down the project. Right? It's hard to know timelines by just visiting over a weekend, right? But it was pretty cool. There's like really cool stuff, but like you drive around these places, and the town is kind of big. It's not like big, but it's very spread out, right? But as you drive around, you go like, where's this stuff? Like, what do people that live here like? Where do they work? Right? Like, where do you have job? Like, I don't see any place like other than there's like stores and retail and stuff, but like there's not a lot of like manufacturing or anything.
Well, I didn't even see where there was a hospital. I mean, they had some health clinics and stuff, so like healthcare is not a big
the hospital
deal.
probably had to be in some other town.
It's up in Seminole, probably,
maybe.
right?
I don't know if Seminole's bigger. We didn't go to Seminole. Sorry, Seminole. Maybe it's bigger.
Yeah, no shade. We just don't know.
We don't know. We didn't go there.
See aforementioned Land of Magical Places.
Yes.
But then, they had the school there. School was pretty cool. Like that was one that they had really kept up. It was nice. Like that was
on the outside. I don't know. Students from
Fair.
Wewoka.
Right.
We should have asked the basketball girls taking donations outside. What's it like on the inside? That would have really creeped him out, though. Like, what are you go asking about? Like, tell me about the layout of your school.
Here's $10. Tell me what the bleachers are like.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone over well.
That's a nice knock on your door from the police.
Yeah, excuse me, sir.
We've had a report.
Why are you asking high school girls about the layout of their school building? Like, I don't know. I'm just an architectural enthusiast. I say as I'm led away in handcuffs, right? To who knows where.
On the Seminole Nightly, architect enthusiast arrested for
attempting to gain knowledge of the interior workings of high school hallways. Like, no, I just want to know what it's like in there.
Being questioned.
The exterior of the building is sweet, right? It looks really cool. It's one of those buildings that like in a movie when you have like a movie high school and you're like, nobody actually has a school that looks like that.
Yeah.
The Wewoka Tigers have a school that looks like that. I'm not even joking you. This is like the Back to the Future school, right? This is the school from like 10 Things I Hate About You, right? Like the big stone brick. There's a tower, right? Like
big spinnerets on either side of the door coming in. Big
front with like multiple giant staircases to the entrance. Like it looks sick.
Yeah, big wide open courtyard, lawn in front of it between it and the road. So it's set back with like lots of green and it's big, imposing. It's beautiful.
Now, I don't know what the inside looks like. It could be falling down. It could be just the same bleachers that were built in 1939. I don't know, but
probably
maybe that's what they're raising money for. I don't
know. Never found out.
Just threw some money at him. Said, "All right, there you go. Bye.
Hey, get out of the median."
Yeah, but yeah, it looks cool. And don't know if it works, but it looks cool.
which is half the battle most days. Does it look cool? Form over function, as we all know.
I mean, that's my motto for sure.
Yeah.
So, it's whatever.
But it was a very, and we saw the library, which was the
library was also really cool.
The most adorable, coolest library, not open on Saturdays.
Who doesn't? Why is your library?
Reading on Saturdays.
No reading on Saturday. It's small. I mean, again, if you have a town of like no people, you can't keep your building open like all the days.
Right? Yeah. It makes sense, but
you have to give your staff of one a day off sometime, right? That's how.
But yes, the librarian in the group was quite displeased with the.
She's pouting on the couch right now. She's shaking her head and pouting. I wanted to go to the library. A sweet weather vane, though.
It had a book on it.
It did.
But it was deceptively small whenever you looked at it from the front. It's not a very wide building.
No.
But then you like walked around back and it was like a thing and a thing. Like
yeah. So it's a very old. Okay, so the library listeners, I want you to imagine colonial building, long rectangle with the fireplaces on each end. Right? Yeah. It's a very East Coast shaped building. It was very confusing to be in the middle of Oklahoma, right? But then, so it's like a rectangle, right? And then you could, if you walked around the side of the building, you could see where it was. They built back, but it was like inset from the side. So it's sort of like it was a step pyramided in, and then there was another section, and then after that, it sort of step pyramided in again and a smaller section.
Where they didn't want to, you could tell they didn't want to mess up the front, but they needed a little bit more space. So they were like, what if we just built a tapered
what
T?
If went to the back though. Yeah. It was like a Tetris piece almost, right? Like like the T Tetris piece, but if that last block was smaller again, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's what it looked like. So it was deceptively deep when we were totally looking inconspicuous, peering through the glass door,
the windows, the front,
in the middle of the afternoon,
with
right?
The car still running.
So like mid-morning, car out front, running,
doors open,
hands pressed over your eyes at the glass. You know, like Colin and I are both doing it right now, even though you can't see.
Yeah,
this is just how it works.
Through this,
like looking through, being like, "Oh my gosh, look at that over there!" Like totally inconspicuous. Nobody suspected a thing.
Yeah, man. Monday morning security footage review was going to be lit for them.
Like, what in the heck? Why is people walking around the building? Staring at the door.
They got Missouri plates. What is happening right now?
We just want to read, man. We're reading enthusiasts.
Let us read.
We wanted to see. Yeah, see, we even love books from Oklahoma. See our multi-part series about the Outsiders. Boom, there you go.
It fits. It's all on brand.
It's
right?
on brand.
There's nothing else. Be on brand.
On brand. Be wandering around a strange building in the mid-morning, right? Like just looking for books, right? It's fine. Just wanted to know how many copies of the Outsiders you had.
Go donate some.
Yeah.
Well, we did see the one business that we did see was the flowers and coffee, or three girls and coffee thing. That was like a boutique of boutique. Like it was. It was boutique to the max.
Very much
in downtown. It was the only thing open that morning that we came across.
Yeah, and it was weird because like. Okay, so it was an old soda fountain, right? Because you could tell they had the bar thing, and they had the bar stools, and they had the tiled floor, and they had the big marble counter. They actually still had the soda fountain, the jerk fountain thingies,
there, which were super cool to see.
And so, like, it was like a boutique and coffee bar, right? One of the groomsmen said it was the only place in town you could get coffee anyway.
Turns out,
but like. So it was this building, and it was like weird, okay, because it was like this building, and it had all this stuff in it, and it was like real nice. And then over top of that, they just like draped a bunch of boutique stuff, like weird shirts and like handbags and like old lady candles and like
lots of knickknacks and things.
Yes, very knick-knacky.
And they had then they had the coffee bar. Which I didn't even see like a menu for or anything.
I saw at the very end there was like a blackboard.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that.
It was not very big, so like it was.
I can be excused for missing.
It was like a foot square. It wasn't very
good. Good. I'm not completely blind, which is nice.
It was very tiny.
But it was the hopping place downtown. Like while we were there,
it was
like
the only place we saw people. There was like 8 people in there. Like what? Holy cow!
My goodness. Where come from? Why? How now?
Yeah. So, kitschy decorations and coffee. That's where it's at. I
don't know. and all of this exploration came from the fact that, one, what were we going to do for all the hours that we had on our hands for this entire time on a Saturday morning? But also because on our way into town, we saw the most beautiful sign of all that intrigued us for what beheld the riches, the riches within.
Listeners, after I drove into town. Not I drove. Colin drove us down there, right? Loving brother there. We drove into town. We saw the welcome to Oklahoma sign. And then, a little bit further we traversed. We were looking around. We were kind of talking, having this dialogue about like, what's here? I wonder what this town is like. It's very, whatever. Saw a sign that said guns shop. But the S was $1. And I went, that's not right. That's not how words function. And
we thought that was the highlight.
However,
and then just around the corner,
directly next to it, adjacent to this sign,
a sign adjacent sign
was another sign that said fish in stuff. Letter in. It did have an apostrophe, which is handy. It was hand painted green with a brush on just like a white piece of plywood. And it was just like hanging, like nailed to a railing. And I was like, oh no. Where am I? I text this to my friend, and her only response was, ha 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 ha.
Which other than a groan and head shake is probably the only other response that's acceptable.
I think you're right. It's probably
in that.
Yeah.
So should it have read fishing stuff, or was it literally, because I see apostrophe and I think and. Was this fish?
I don't know.
And stuff.
I don't know. I didn't go into the fishing stuff store because I was a little terrified. I didn't know if it was like a, down by Dora, Missouri, they have Jack's and they sell almost everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's like this weird gas station, right? It's like a gas station, and then the store next to the gas station is like a warehouse. And it literally has everything in it. It's like, you're like, I wonder if they have, yes, they do right here, right? Do they have a belt? Yep. Do they have a pan? Yep. Do they have this? Yep. It's crazy, right? I don't know if this was a store like that or if it's a fishing stuff thing. I don't know if this is like your Fretch eggs sign from a long time ago. Do you remember that? You remember that sign? That gem?
Oh, no.
I don't know. I don't know if this is like colloquialism of spelling or fun advertising, or they didn't have enough, their board wasn't long enough. I don't really know.
Well, they certainly got our attention, and here we were talking about it, so it worked.
Not enough for me to go inside.
No,
it might not even been open. Nothing else was open anyway. So who knows? But
I will say I was also thoroughly impressed by Oklahoma's embracing of the CBD medical marijuana revolution.
Every 5 feet was a shed like you buy from Lowe's, and they just like plopped it on the street corner. Blam!
And painted a portion of it like green.
Of course, it has to be green. What else would it be? With names of varying description of like. Some of them are humorous. Some of them are like, "That's not. What are you doing?"
So what it was that what I forget what town it was in, but it was like the dueling CBD shops
across the street.
And they were literally across the street, catty corner to one another. And one was just like, was that the Dank store or something? And then the other one was
the grass station,
which.
And it was actually in an old gas station, like a Route 66 gas station.
Which was so, not only was the name on point because it wasn't an obvious take on marijuana or CBD. It was unique.
Hilarious.
It was hilarious. And because it said it was a gas station and it was in a gas station.
They win the name
it was like,
more anyway.
Perfect. It was perfect for all of that.
Other than that, the drive all the way down to Wewoka from here is not eventful at all. It's very long and trying. Full of people not driving correctly on the turnpike. And like
I don't know how
trucks that are just like, yeah, I'm just gonna come over right now, even though you're next to me. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm still here.
And I have a question. We drove underneath the McDonald's, which we learned used to be a fast food joint from the 50s.
Howard Johnson.
Howard
right?
Johnson.
Yeah.
Right. I have always been told nominally by our father that this is the world's largest McDonald's.
I don't think that's true.
But I have never seen a sign because let's be very real. Again, even though Oklahoma is not in the Midwest, one thing that we know about central U.S. roads is that they
the world's largest.
They love the world's largest things. And this has never had a sign on it that has said world's largest.
McDonald's. That's true because I also had heard that as a child, and I don't think that's true. I think I Googled that one time and it was like, it's not actually the world's largest McDonald's. It's like the only McDonald's. Well, I don't know about now. It goes over a highway.
Interstate.
Excuse me.
Please.
Give the Will Rogers Turnpike some credit here.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it does go over the thing. So listeners, if you're unfamiliar with this, you can Google McDonald's Veneta, Oklahoma. Right. And it is this big arch structure thing that it spans the interstate. It goes all the way over the top. Like the trucks go under it, which is it's the appeal when you're a child to eat your cheeseburger and just like watch the trucks drive under you. Right. It's very exciting.
And as an adult.
Okay. And as an adult, I'm not going to lie. But I don't, the building itself does not claim to be the world's largest McDonald's.
And if ever there were a place to have this emblazoned, it is this. Oh, Susan we are getting past some information
I have
here.
A phone. Look at a research assistant. Oh my gosh, we got to do this more often. Let's see. Built in 1957 as one of its kind, filling a bridge that crossed I-44. The Glass House was for a time, the Glass House was undisputedly the biggest McDonald's in the world. But it was largest in square feet only. And some of it, the whole entire building is not McDonald's.
There is
lease space for other stores.
Yeah, there's a Subway in there.
Yeah, there's a gas station.
Yeah, well, yeah, because that's the other thing. It's like in the feet and the base of the arch on either side. There's where you can go to the restroom. You can get it's a convenience store.
In the top, there's like some gift store things, and there's just some dead space. Right, so it is not the world's largest. Another world's largest McDonald's appeared in Moscow in 1990, but as there is no more McDonald's in Russia at all, that it can't be true anymore. Then a world's largest entertainment McDonald's opened in Orlando, Florida.
Entertainment McDonald's?
I don't know what that means. And play place. I don't know what an entertainment McDonald's is.
What's that?
I don't know.
They don't give us those in Missouri.
That's true.
No entertainment for you.
Well, they only get weird things like that in Florida, but there we go. So largest in square feet. So that was the largest square foot building containing a McDonald's. I don't know. But it was not solely occupied by McDonald's.
Okay, so what do we say? Half true?
Half truth.
Half truth.
Half truth.
Okay, fact check, kinda.
There you go. Kinda true at one point in time, but maybe not now. But it does still go over a road, and it is still cool looking. Right? Very 1950s architecture, glass, arches, steel.
Glass and
right.
steel.
It's like, yes, Frank Lloyd Wright approves this message. I guess what?
Would he though?
Why do you know it's curves? So maybe not.
Yeah.
He'd be like, no, flat roof only. Get out.
Why don't you have 18 feet of overhang on your roof?
That's a good point. There is a lot of overhang. I mean, the whole thing is overhang, right? Because it's a bridge.
Technically,
it's a bridge.
Technically,
it's fine.
But it also has a roof. Oh, yeah.
However, because I Googled that, I do now have the world's largest gift store and the world's largest fork by mass, both in Missouri. Look at that.
Fork world's. I love
the qualifier.
The qualifier here. World's largest fork by mass. By mass. What is it made of? What you're right? What's the really dense one?
I don't know.
It's here in Springfield.
It's Springfield, Missouri fork. Yeah,
Springfield fork. Yeah.
It used to be. It was in front of a restaurant.
It was, and then it was moved to
Chesterfield Village.
Where
it still resides.
I think so.
It was some random restaurant. It was like a random salad restaurant.
Yeah, it was like a terrarium one too, where it was all glass and metal on the outside.
South Winston by like where Circuit City used to be,
and over by Cheddar's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was where they had that giant fork.
Oh, I think I've been here. Have I been to the world's largest? Have I been to Phillipsburg, Missouri? This building looked familiar. I have driven by this. That one.
Yes, that's on. Is that on I-44?
I think so. Yeah.
On the way up in look up Phillipsburg. I don't know. It's on this side or the other side of Rolla, which the listeners will have no idea what that means because they don't know
either south or north.
We're based out of.
Oh, it's apparently this side of Lebanon.
What?
So, yeah.
Way wrong.
It's between Marshfield and Lebanon on I-44. But I've driven by this building 8 million times. I've never been in it before.
And again, that is the world's largest gift shop.
The world's largest gift store.
Gift store.
There you go.
There is one thing that, well, there are many things that you will find along I-44. Some of them not good. Many of them are fireworks stores.
It's true.
And gift shops.
Gift shop.
And
also,
fudge.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Just straight.
Yeah. We can't say that on Family Friendly Showcase, but there's a very famous fudge store up by St. Louis, Missouri. I'll just say that. Also, we made a note of this on the way back, right? So there is in Missouri.
Stop!
Fiddling. This microphone just collapsed on me, listeners. I apologize. I just touched it to move it, and it fell down.
I see you messing.
It's fine. It's fine. Nothing happened. So there is this very famous thing, right? Missouri is the cave state. For those of you who didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Not just the show me state. It's like show me caves, man. Right. So the cave state. There is a place called Meramec Cavern, right? And they have, at some point in the past, what they have done is they paid a landowner to paint the Meramec Cavern sign on their barn next to the highway, the interstate, right? And so it's very distinct. It's like this blue, red, black thing, right? It says Meramec Caverns, real big, right? There's some sort of tenuous Jesse James connection, I think, right? That's on some of the signs, right?
Oh, with his gang had a hideout
or something, right? Yeah. Because, that happened allegedly.
Happened probably one time. And
they probably were near it once. And they're like, they hid here for sure.
Oh, definitely. That's what he did. He always hung out here.
Now, listeners, importantly, I have traveled the roads in Missouri my whole life, basically. I've lived in Missouri almost my whole life. I am closing in on 40 years old. I have no idea where Meramec Caverns is. The signage is so far afield from the actual location. I do not know where it is located.
Trying to triangulate it based on signage, location, and marketing is not. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's physically impossible.
The reason I bring this up is I saw for the first time a sign for Meramec Caverns on I-44 in Oklahoma. So this actually made it even worse because it extended the possible range for where it could be. Right? This is a terrible sign. I don't know. You see it. You see it on 44 all up and down. I think you see it on other highways too.
Yeah.
Right? It's just the side or the roof of some barn. Missouri barns do this weird thing where there is the roof of a lot of these old barns is multi-pitched. Right? So again, think Western barn where it's it goes from the top a little bit and then there's a different angle and then it flares out again at the bottom. But a lot of them have this side building where then it one side of the barn extends way out and they always paint it on that side. So you have this huge roof or side of barn thing. Meramec Caverns painting, no actual idea where it's located. I can't, if this is one of those shows, a cop show, and you pinpointed all the locations of all the barns, and then you tried to triangulate the actual locations of Meramec Caverns based on the signage, like Colin said, it's impossible. I don't know. I've never been there. There's no a hot and cold. You can't hot and cold your way there based on how many signs you see. It's not possible. I don't know where it is.
Well, and you made a really good observation of the signs have always looked old on these barns as well. They have never looked brand new. They have never looked like they were just done. They're all the same age, which is somewhere between 10 and 20 years old or
they're older than that. It's got to be older than that.
And I want to know, as a Meramec Caverns PR person and marketer, where do you go about finding these barns? Like, how do you make these phone calls? And then how do you, like, I was thinking about this. How do you introduce yourself for that sales pitch? Right? Like,
hey, I'm Meramec Caverns sales and marketing, and I want to know, can I paint your barn? Like, what?
Right. What kind of lease agreements do they have on this? Is like, no, I'm going to need it to be kind of forever, but that's fine.
Yeah. Was it just like a deal where they paid him one time and they're like, all right, here's your $150 painting this on the side of your barn, and everyone's just like, all right, whatever, I don't care. And they just left it for like 60 years. I don't know. I don't know.
They're just, and the family's just collecting like what, $100 a year or something to have this on their barn.
In perpetuity for just like having this signage on your barn forever. Like, does anybody go to? I don't even know anybody that's been to Meramec Caverns. I don't even know if that. Have you been, Susan? Shakes her head vigorously. Nope, I haven't been. You've been?
No, I have not. I don't know of anybody who's been either.
Does Meramec Caverns actually exist?
Is this a front?
Well, don't Google it. I don't want to know now. I don't want this illusion to be shattered.
Must remain a mystery at all times.
Yeah, some secrets must remain. Right? Like, where is it? We don't know.
No, nobody knows.
Listeners, if any of you have ever been to Meramec Caverns, please message us, email us, tweet us, Instagram us. I don't know. That one doesn't have a handy thing, but like, let us know. Okay, please.
You say gram us.
Hit us up on the gram.
Grams.
Yo. Yeah. Right? Do that because we want your input. Was it good? Were you just like, yep, cave, got it, done? Like, I don't know.
Because we have been to the other famous caverns.
The ones that are very fantastic?
The really fantastic ones. We've been to those.
Allegedly, the world's only drive-through cave.
Because that needed to be a thing. # only in America.
That is true.
We love our cars so much, we will drive them through a cave.
We have to make special ones that burn propane only, but we will drive in this cave, dang it. It's kind of cool. I've been to the Silver Dollar City Cave, been to the fantastic ones. They've been to like the
Smallin Cave. Isn't that Civil War?
Yeah.
That's what it's associated with, the Civil War, I think.
In some way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic Cave is kind of sweet though, right? Like, it's pretty cool. Like, it's humongous.
Yeah.
The story of Fantastic Caverns is crazy too, right? You know?
I don't think I remember this.
So like there's like a huge entrance. They found like this massive entrance, right? But like whatever year they discovered it in, right? It was a long time ago. I'm gonna Google that real fast. But the first explorers, there was like 4 people, right? They just like, they were like, oh, again, early America, like Missouri, they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go in this hole. And they had like a candle. Oh, and they just like went in this like teeny hole and were like down in this huge thing forever. And it's huge. It was like this lady and like somebody else. I don't remember.
Because during the drive, right? I remember you stop and the driver, at least in the one I did, I think, if I remember this correctly, shuts off everything and has a little candle lit. Just show you the immensity, right? Because what's neat about this is that they've currently, not only do they have a driving track through this, but they have lit lights that go all through this that light up various aspects of it that they can turn on and off. And they turn everything off and they hold up a candle and they're like, this is what they explored. Now that you say that, I remember that going, this is what they explored this entire thing with.
Yeah. Accidentally discovered by John Knox and his dog in 1862. Right? And so he like did some stuff, and then he got 12 women belonging to the Springfield Women's Athletic Club. They explored it for the first time. So these are the first explorers of the cave. 12 members of the Springfield Women's Athletic Club. Right?
Again, what's that opening line? Hey, me and my dog found a hole in the ground.
It says he wanted to keep it away from the Union and Confederate governments. But in 1862, still in the middle of the Civil War. So he didn't want any of the armies that were traipsing through Missouri at the time to know about it and like stash all their stuff there. So he like didn't say anything. And then he got some ladies from Springfield to explore it with a candle. Their names are carved in the wall there. They like wrote it on there. Right. And so it was a thing. It was part of it was a speakeasy during Prohibition. There was live music concerts in the 50s and 60s. And it's also a registered fallout shelter. So it was. I don't know if it's still good for that or not. But there are like these big, huge fallout shelter doors at one point. Like,
right in there, people.
Here we go. Tying back to last week's conversation about Cold War terror, fantastic caverns, still part of that, right? Yeah, it's the weird connected history of the U.S. Like everything's like, gotta be afraid if not. Put the doors in here. But yeah, that's what it was. Like these ladies like crawled through like this cave, and there's like that because that room. There's that one room that's huge.
Yeah,
like they always call it like the ball or something like the grand something.
Yeah.
And it's like this massive high ceiling. And I think the thing is like they found that and we're like,
wait a minute.
Hold on a minute. So yeah, it's really big. Didn't we go in another cave somewhere? We like walk down the walkway into the cave. Is that a thing that exists?
Is that Branson? Is that Silver City?
No, there's another one. It's like big. We were in a cave somewhere. We were in a sweet cave in New Zealand, but I don't think that's the one I'm thinking of. I also took a 4th grade field trip to a cave. Like, maybe that's. I don't remember. It's down by. My brain is not braining correct. No, it's like really big. There's like a huge like ramp that goes down there. I don't know. Listeners, I will get back to you about other caves I've been in, question mark. Well, my long and exhaustive spelunking history, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah. It's so confusing.
Yes. I have vague memories of some other cave, and I can't remember what it's called now, so
we'll
put a pin in that one.
Put our thoughts together.
Yes.
Yes, from the magical lands of Oklahoma to the mystical caves and
undergrounds of fantastic caverns. There we go.
Interesting. The link between both of them is geology.
It is.
That
and I-44 technically. So there we
go. And with that, we'll leave it at that.
Beautiful.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.